Hello, sorry for the interruption to the video, but I just wanted to say that I had planned to use my VTuber model to give some visuals for the commentary that is about to happen in this video, but unfortunately, there were some technical issues and that was not possible, so I do apologize for the inconveniences. Hello, guys, gals, and non binary pals, and today I will be talking about the Patchwork Fairy Tales podcast. Now, I know that in my last poll, the result was for a book review, but Miss Laney suggested in the comments that I cover a podcast, and this is one that is very close to me. Um, Before we get into things today, I would like to mention that I have another video releasing next week that is a review of Hello from the Hallowoods. That is, how shall we say, less scripted. So if that's something you want to hear, then stay tuned for that. Also, this video will contain heavy spoilers for a particular episode of the Patchwork Fairy Tales. So if you would not like to hear that, don't continue, and please go support the creator and author of Patchwork Fairy Tales over on Spotify, and I will have the link in the description for you. Now back to the video. I haven't done commentary videos in the past, so you'll have to let me know if I'm doing okay in the comments. Now, let's have a look at the description. So let's start off by having a look at the description they give themselves on Spotify. New stories stitched together with a thread of once upon a time. This is a collection of inclusive fairy tales written and recorded by Laura Simons to spread old magic in a new way. You want single fathers, pansexual princesses, found families, sapphic dragons, sword-wielding ladies, and asexual heroes? Then you've come to the right place. This is a perfect summary of the podcast. They masterfully take fairy tales and use care and warmth to bring more inclusivity and a little bit of a new touch to them. Listening to the podcast Listening to this podcast fills you with hope, calm and hope, and sometimes a little drama, as the stories can be quite varied in their content, but they always seem to be just the right thing to comfort and or calm your mind. In winter, they are just perfect to sit on the couch with a cup of tea or coffee if you prefer. For a further insight into the work of art that is this podcast, let's delve into a particular episode that I count among my favorites, The Tale of the Frost Lady. This episode begins with the story of the Frost Lady, a creature of ice and snow who brings frigid cold of winter and with her mercy grants the warm breezes of summer. This I slightly disagree with, as winter is my favorite month, and I personally think of it with the fondness of warm drinks and warmer fires, than more so than burning cold and icicles as sharp as daggers. But I can understand where they would be coming from, due to the setting in a seemingly medieval village where they might not have as much warming technology as us. We soon learn of the follies of humanity, how the follies of humanity disturb her, for they are but creatures with a shorter memory than the world around her, and so they raise themselves a village below the mountain, which she calls home, reducing her name to but a children's tale, and so she takes her revenge with the frost she knows so well. And so the town grows to know of her again. From the permafrost has brought forth many a new profession in search of warmth and food, one of which is that of the weavers, and they had a best of their trade. And And this was a couple, and the couple had a child, whom they had called Hansel. Hansel was a brave child, and he suggests that someone be sent to confront the Frost Lady and request her to bring back the joys of spring. His parents are disturbed at the idea, as they raise the question of who might volunteer, as they all know all too well that those who venture up the Frost Lady's hill will surely lose themselves. Though after a while he grows restless and wishes that he may be the one to take this task, as it has taken him a long time to figure out who he is, too long for that to be taken away from him. After all, how can someone take what they didn't know he had? Because he was not Hansel. He was not even the weaver's son. She was the weaver's daughter. She longed for the day that she could tell her parents that they could forget about Hansel and call her Ida. That's pretty much a one-to-one. That's pretty much paraphrase that I just talked about. Ida, the weaver's daughter, is part of it is almost a direct one-to-one from the episode, or at least as well as I could remember. So it is a bit paraphrasing. Not very good at speaking today, but that with that vibe, you can just kind of see how the episode is sort of, how it's sort of written, and a comment as well, but this does not have any bearing on, as much bearing on the meaning and whatnot of the stories, but the creator, Laura, has what I at least would consider to be a wonderful accent, which just makes the listening all the nicer, So, yeah, that's just something I thought of. One day, the weaver's daughter snaps and decides to make the journey to the Frost Lady's palace. She walks through the snow and frost up the crafty mountains, shifting and changing underfoot, constantly asking herself if she still knows who she is. But she will always carry that in her heart. Along the journey, Ida comes across 3 monsters who each take 3 aspects of who she used to be. And I believe that, and these monsters were originally meant to take the person that she was, but Ida, being a person who sees through what she was meant, at least by others, to be, and has found who she really is inside, is able to give them the person that society meant her to be, and keep the person who she truly is inside. And I find that quite a wonderful piece of symbolism here, to think on. So, back to the story. The first monster asks her name, and so she replies with the name that she was given, the name she owns, but not the name she gave herself, not the name that rings true in her soul. And Hansel, the weaver's son, is gone, forgotten by all but the monster that stood in Ida's path. The second monster she encounters in a cave, in which she is taking refuge. It asks for her reflection. Downwards she looks to a puddle clear and perfect in its coldness, and sees the reflection she carries with it, but it does not feel like her own, and so she agrees, and as she passes onward to the place of the Frost Lady, she cannot for the life of her remember what that reflection she had seen then looked like, but she remembers what she looks like in her mind's eye, and that is enough for her to really yeah, and that is enough for her um the third monster who guards the palace of the Frost Lady, gives her a choice: to relinquish the memory of all that she ever was, or the memory of everyone that she ever loved. Faced with this, Ida chooses to give up her very self, and yet when she is finally allowed to pass, she loses not who she is now, but who she, in the eyes of those around her, was supposed to be. Those who had not yet truly gotten to know the Weaver's daughter for herself, even though they had thought they knew the person that stood before them for so many years. Once she enters the palace, she confronts the Frost Lady and asks her to lift the curse upon the village below. The Frost Lady is in awe, for it is not since the humans below had come together with a common tongue that someone has reached her still with a name to call themselves. She asks Ida why she is, of all people, the one that would come this far, and Ida replies, "I do not fear that I would lose myself, because I knew who I was, even when all those around me did not." And so Ida, the weaver's daughter, leaves with a promise for everything she came for in exchange for teaching the town below of the Frost Lady, so that in the future they will know of her power. And she too carries the burning weight of her words in her heart, and the journey she has gone on to discover who to leave behind the expectations of others and embrace herself. Once she reaches the town below, she is cheerfully greeted by her best friend and her parents, who linger upon her name when they think, and she tells them that she is Ida, and that is who they know her to be. And she sees her reflection in a silver necklace shown to her by her friend, who remarks on how much more herself she looks, and for sure it is the true vision of the weaver's daughter that looks back to her. So I really loved this episode in particular because of the symbolism of the casting off what society's expectations have put upon you, and the way that people's perception of you can entirely be a separate person to who you really are, and the way it shows that even though people can have the idea that they know someone in their life, they may not always really understand what is going on beneath the surface. And I think that is a really powerful message. Also, it also helps by bringing more stories by bringing more diverse groups into the media, because really, at least that I have seen, there is not a huge amount of representation for marginalized groups in our current television and movie scene. Um, though that is slowly getting better. Um, currently, um, but I do, on that topic, I do really recommend that you go and watch Heartstopper. Um, yeah, I know this isn't a review of that, but maybe I will in the future. If you'd like me to do a review of Heartstopper in the future, I would love to do that. So tell me in the comments. But um, I, I haven't begun watching it, but people around me have watched it and told me that it is wonderful. So yeah, thank you for listening today, and I hope to make more long form commentary content such as this. Well, I mean, it's probably going to be about um 15 minutes once I edit it all down, but realistically that's longer than the videos I've done in the past, and I would like to do more stuff like that and more commentary and stuff. So if you enjoyed this, please tell me below. And thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Bye.